Welcome to this video where we'll talk about the movie Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. We will begin by exploring the movie storyline, summarizing its plot and discuss the cast and characters. Then we will take a closer look at the film production details and box office performance. Finally, we will share review and the audience reaction to give you a well-rounded perspective. Let's get started. Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen. Revenge of the Fallen 2009. Optimus Prime stated in a monologue that the fates of the Cybertrons, home world of the Autobots and the Decepticons, and Earth have been interlocked for the longer than either race could have suspected. The earlier Autobots has invited Earth millennia prior to the first film, a scene from the 7000 BC shows of fallen attracting primate tribulations around Egypt as the Autobots and the Deceptions fight among a Cybertron's object. Cut to present day. Shanghai capped Linux and his team, NEST, are the pushing two deceptions through the city are giant constructions called demolizers, and a silver car flee the scene. Cap Lennox call in the Ireland side wisp the twins, Skid and the Met Flip, Jot and the Accra to help take them down. Ireland split the silver deception car in half as it's the Richards and LV, but the constructions escape the Italian regents. Car in a half as Richards and the halfway but the constructions escape the Intel's regents. Apps calls in the Optimus Prime to finish it off before it can total for the shingles. A giant freight plane carries Optimism over shingles and the Optimism's pitches down. He transforms into his the truck mode and the purchase demolisher through the city before transforming again and the jumping on it. He blades it off the rod and the military surrounded it. Demolisher looks at the optimisms and tells him, "This plant is not yours to rule over. The fallen will rise once again." Optimism tell him not while I am around and shoots Demolishers in the head, killing it. SGT, Apps and the Cap. Linux wonder what the warning means. Meanwhile, Soundwave, a deception's intelligence offer hijack USA satellite to listen in on encrypted conversations between the military and NEST. Sam with the wiki is ready to go to college, as stated to Lord the guy his mother Jerry carries about how she is losing her the period baby, while Sam's father Ron is excited since he is killing his wife to the Paris so they can regenerate the romance. Sam is the disgusted by this, but Ron tells Sam that it's part of life. Ron reminds Sam that in the college, everything changed. He makes a point to tell Sam that he may even end up with another girl inside of the Michael. Sam tells Ron that he is one woman kind of guy as the Michael sells. She tells him she dumping him so she won't have to say goodbye to him when he leaves. Sam takes the conversation inside his house and they remind her of all the fun times they had since their first adventure 2 years ago. They fool around on the phone a bite and Sam tells her seriously that there are the cheap apartment near his college where the Michaels. Sam takes the conversation inside his house and remind her to of all fun times they had since their first adventure 2 years ago. They fool around on the phone a bit and Sam tells her seriously that there are cheap apartments near his college where the Michaels could live. Michael tells Sam that since she is looking after her the recently released ex-con father that can't happen. Sam successfully deflects Michael's half-heard attempt to break up with him and convince her to come see him off to college. However, as he goes through his old cloth, a share of the allspark the power source of the Autobots and the Decepticons from the first film, fall out of the suits he wore when he killed Migrations. Macrons. Sam picks up with the shirt, which activities and the causes Sam to have flesh of the ancients. Cybertronian symbols, the peak burns a hole through the floor and turn all the kitchen's appliances into the mini Decepticons. Sam struggles to put out the fire in his room before he is attacked by the kitchen's transformers. Sam jumps out of his window and drags Ron behind their fountain in order to get cover. Sam calls on the Bombly to defend them and the Bombly ends up destroying half the house. Judge way out but Ron tells her that the government will pay for the remaining. Judy tells Sam that the Bombly needs to leave. Michael arrives and asks what happened, but the Sam brushes the question off and gives her a shaft of the allspark to hide and breakdowns to them while a Decepticons would transform her into an RV and tracked the plus and they start following Michael. Sam tells Bombly that he can't bring him to college with him since freshmen are not allowed to have cars. Bambly in upset but accept it. Michael and Sam share a moment together before the Witwicky leaves for the college. Sam moves into her drone and meets the new roommate. They share the moment where they see if they are both normal and can be replied on. Leo shows Sam that he runs an alien conspiracy website which focus on the Transformers activity which world leaders have been covering up for the past 2 years. Leon Man Competition is a site run by a user who owns his own Transformer-based site. Sam and Leo get off on the wrong foot and the Sam asks for a room switch. However, this is denied, so Sam deals with it. He runs into the jet high off the pot. Brownies are the mistalks. For all natural brownies tells girls about how she heard Michael take Sam virginity a few weeks earlier. Sam and the Ron take her back to the car and the White Wicks part ways. Back at the NEST headquarters, Optimus Prime and the Cap brochure on the activities of the Decepticons around the globe for the last 2 years. The Decepticons have been looking for something but they have no idea what. National Security Advice Galway Benjamin Higbee hands to banish all the Autobots from us since the feel that they are the reasons the Decepticons are still on Earth. Optimism tells Galvo, we asked to leave. The Autobots will do but cautions Galway as the determines effect it would have to the human race if this theory is innocent. Soundwave listen to all this and discover where another share of the Allspark is being held in the NEST headquarters and where migration body is located. Soundwave sound detections range to the infrared NEST and they recover the share of all the spark. Revenge successfully steals the share of its maximum security vault and leaves. At the Lotren's Apps, a supermarine is the surviving migration's grave when the 5 detections go underwater and they recover migrations. They use one of the other detection spark, the life force of all Autobots and the detections to ignite migrations and the resurrounded Mactrons and the company fly off the detection space. Mactron is based that the screens left him to die in the last film, but instead of killing Starscream, he goes over to the Fallen and he apologizes for the destructions of the Allspark. His master tells Migrations that if they take care of the Optimum Prime, the Fallen will be able to reconquer Earth using the alternative source of the Cybertration's energy hidden on the planet. That Fallen make a point of saying that he cannot return to Earth until the last Prime is dead, since only a Prime can successfully kill the Fallen, who used to be a Prime before creating the Decepticons. The night Michaels and the Sam are supposed to have their first web chat date. That night, Michaels and Sam are supposed to have their first web child date. Unfortunately, Leo drags Sam to a fur party where a mysterious girl named Alisa watches Sam for the affair. While looking at a symbol on a cake, Sam has the flashes on the symbols and they start drawing them with the frostings. Alisa watches this instead and the beings hitting on Sam. Sam tries to get away and successfully does so when Bambley arrives at the party. Sam gets in the car, but the Alisa does as well. Bambley dislikes Sam being with the another woman and the spars also with the gang. She leaves in a huff after acting in a peculiar manner. Bambley takes Sam to a graveyard where he meets with the Optimism Prime. Optimism tells Sam that the Galway wants to send the Autobots way and asks Sam to her their ambassador to the world leaders. Sam tells Optimism that he just a randoms kid is not important. He tells Optimism that he is not a part of their war and he leaves. Optimus says that the psalm is more important than the realize. He tells Optimism that he is not a part of their war and he leaves. Optimism says that Sam is more important than he realizes. During his first class, Sam listened to his the sleazy astronaut teachers, Professor Colin, give his the opinion lecture and hit on some of the younger women in the class. Sam starts seeing the and then reads through his the 894-page textbook in a minute. He interrupts the class and tells Clone it's all wrong and written complex calculation on the board before being kicked out of the classes, realizing that the spark infused Cybertronian knowledge into the hairbrain. He calls Michaels. Michael is the place she got shooted up on a vagabond date, but the same tells her that the slough did not touch the spark. She tells him that she put it in the auto shop safe. Before him fighting while trying to steal it, she burns out one of his eyes and locks him in a box. She boxes a flight out to the university and he brings Wiles and the spark with her. Elisa asks Leo if Sam is their room. They arrive and see that Sam has painted the symbols from his mind on the walls. Elisa throws Leo out and the purchases Sam onto the bed and the kisses him. As she does, our detections till shelters out of the back of her dress and is all ready to step Sam when the Michaels walk in, not noting the tell it the disappear. Michael's just thinking Sam is the cheating and the storm off. Sam tries to purchase but the Elisa reveals herself to be a pretend. A deception's taking human form by the wrapping her 8-foot metal stuff around Sam and the tossing him around the room. Leo and the Michaels return upon hearing the commissions and the Sam break free. The trio run as the Elisa launches a full-scale attack on the Sundrums in an effort to the capture and the neutralize Sims. The trio runs through the quiet and into the laboratory in order to get away from the patron. Alisa blows up most of the library and the trip jumps out of the hall created by the blast. Maishla Hot wears a car to say Maishla Hot wears a car so they can drive away. Alisa arrives and they punish a hole in the finish as she starts transforming. Michael crashes the car into a tree, effectively crushing the pretend to death. Unfortunately, Grander's a detection's helicopter capture the car and bring to a larger warehouse where the stream scream and the migrations are waiting. The car is dropped into the warehouse and quickly cut in the half. Starscream spares same for the Michaela and Leo, and the group is the rendered to Megran. Megran forces Sam onto a table and has a small robot forced into a Sam brain only. Images of the symbols in his mind are projected and the migration release that it is a map before migrating can rip out Sam's brain to steal all the informations and avenge his death. From the first film, Bambley and the Optimism Prime arrive to the rescue there the capture alias. Optimism retries Sam and they drive off with him. With the Bambley takes Michaels and the Leo safely away from the warehouse, migration stream care, and the sideway pushes Optimism and Sam to a force that the Optimism single-handedly fight all the detections. He kills Sideaway and cuts off the Starscream's arm during the fight until the migration stops. Optimism's through the heart with a badly aches. Optimism's collapse, trying and tells Sam to run. His power gives out and the Optimism dies. At Optimism arrives Sam and drives off with him, while Bambley takes Michaela and the Leo safely away from the warehouse. Mactrons, Starscreams and the Sideaway pursue Optimism and Sam to the forest. There the Optimism single-handedly fight all their deceptions. He kills Sideaway and cuts off the Starscream's arm during the fight until migraine stops. Optimism's throw he hard with a battle ox. Optimism's collapse trying and tells Sam to the run. His spark gives out and the Optimism dies. At that moment on the strands, that fallen is the Renice celebrating the death of the last prime. Sam runs from the scenes as the other Autobots arrive to fight off the migraine and the Starscream to the recover Optimism body. Bumbley and the twins drive to a safe locations with the Sam, Leo and the Michaels. Meanwhile, Migration and the Soundwave broadcast a message from the fallen directly to everyone on the plant. Fallen tells them that their leaders have kept the exist of the Autobots and Decepticons from their war while he tells them that if they do, meanwhile migrations and the Soundwave broadcast a message from the Fallen directly to everyone on the plant. The Fallen tells them that their leaders have kept the exist of the Autobots and Decepticons from there for a while. He tells them that if they do not, Witwicky, they will all die. The beings a global manhunt for Sam and the last two people he was seeing them. Michaela and the Leo detection bots land all over the earth. Revenge arrives in pairs and he captures Ron and the jury as part of a trap to the lure Sam out to into the open. In the wake of the optimism that Galway suspend NEST for the documentations and the orders that all the remaining Autobots be shipped back to base before they are the order of the plant. Cap Lennox disagree and the subsequently removed from the leading operate by the Galway. The Autobots load as the optimism body and the accept Galway decisions. Leo is freaking out over his state as a forgetting, but the Sam tells him to shut up since Leo is now getting the full truth about the aliens. Leo composes himself while Sam takes to Michaels and the Bambley about turning himself in. Bambley tells him that doing that would undo everything Optimism died for. Sam remembers that the migrant told him that there was a map in his head, so he draws the symbols and asks the twins if they can read it. They can't, but Leo says he knows someone who can. His woman enemy and the rivals, Robo Warrior, since Leo once revenge hacked Robo Warrior shit. He knows that the Robo Warrior work in a deli in a New York. Robo Warrior is revealed to be the unknown other than Senior Simmons, former leader of the no defected Sector 7 and now a butcher at his mother Dell. At first unwilling to help Sam, he has a change of the heart when Sam tells him about the symbols and the migration reveals. Simmons takes Sam down into the secret base of the operations and they show him files which they indicated that the Transformers have been on Earth for the years looking for some things while there were infertisms around of there the radiations presents around the global. Simon surprise all brushes him off as and the obsessed lunatics. However, Simmons found symbols carved into the ancient ruins all over the world and they link them to the Autobots and the Decepticons. Siemens tells them that without being able to ask a deception, they won't learn anything else. Michaels run and they recover while from this the box and they coax him into the giving them informations while they cannot read it. The some bots is the definitely survival all. They won't learn anything else. Michaels run and he recovers Wiley from his box and they coax him to in giving them informations while cannot read thus symbols he identifies survival all transformers in photos and he indicates where they are certainly residing on a map. The closet on is in the Museum of the Aviations in the one is in the Museum of the Aviations in the Smithsonian. The group arrived the Smithsonian and hunt for the robot, while a radiation director and the shade of the All-Spark All-Leader to an all-jet the fighter on display. While tells Sam how to use the All-Spark, she to wake up and the same does so. However, Michaela noticed that it has the Decepticons logo and the group flip as the Jeffter awakens. Jeffer storms out of the museum and is on a mission. He explained that he was tasked to find the matrix of the leadership, the energy to keep device, Javiers and the destroys turns to produce the energy need for these aberrations to successfully reproduce. Tells him how to use all spark shear to the wake up, and the same does so. However, Mikey noticed that it has the Deceptions logo and the group flip as the Jeffter awareness. Jet first storms out of the museums and is on a mission. He explained that he was tasked to find the metric of the leadership, the energy key to a device which the hair waste and the destroy sent to produce the energy needed for the Cybertronians to successfully reproduce. The 13 originally transformed south out sun to power their the system but the would never use it where the sun was providing a life-based planet. However, upon arriving on the earth, the fallen tried to use the machine deposit to his brother projects. They banded together and fought the fallen, stealing the matrix and sacrificed themselves to keep it hidden. The matrix is hidden in the bomb of the prime. It is somewhere in the Egypt deserts. If they know a prime, it would be easy to find the matrix. Jaffier has always wanted to meet a prime and ask if there are any on Earth. Sam tells them that the deposit his brother projects. They banded together and they fought the fallen, stealing the matrix and they sacrificed themselves to keep it hidden. The matrix is hidden in the tomb of the primes, which is somewhere in the Egyptian deserts. If they knew a prime, it would be easy to find the matrix. Jaffier has always wanted to meet a prime and ask if there are any on Earth. Sam tells them that the optimisms, the last of the prime, died protection gem. Jetfire tells him that the fallen had driven him crazy with all his yelling about destroying Earth. So Jetfire had unofficially joined the Autobots. He tells them that he will help them find the Matrix. Jetfire teleports the human Bambley and the twins to Egypt. Sam hand gets horribly burnt. During the teleportations, everyone else is the unharmed. Simmons yellow at the Jetfire and Sim asks how they are going. How they are going to find the matrix in the middle of the desert. Jetfire tells Sam that the map is in his mind and tells him a riddle which would help him find. Jetfire teleports the humans, Bambley and the twins to Egypt. Sam hand gets horribly burned during the teleportations, but everyone else is the unharmed. Smons yells at the Jaffer and the Sim asks how they are going to find the matrix in the middle of the deserts. Jetfire tells Sam that the map is in his mind and tells Sam a riddle which would help him find to it. Before they leave, Sam asks Jetfire if the matrix could be used to jumpstart the spark of a dead Autobot. Jumpstart the spark of a dead Autobot. Jetfire does not know, but tells Sam it's worth a shot. The group figures out of the coordinate of the matrix and travel all the way to the Jordan. Once they cross the border, Israel authorities become aware of Sam's presence and they begin a hunt for him in the accordance with the fallen wishes. Simmons calls Lennox and tells NEST that there is a possible pretension in the works for the trucks and gives Lennox coordinate for where the drop point should be. SGT apps is the special about all this part. The group figures out the coordinate of the matrix and travel all the way to the Jordans. Once the crop the order Israel, authorities become aware of Sam's presence and being a hunt for him in the accordance with the fallen wishes. Simone calls Lennox and tells NEST that there is a possible restrictions in the work for this tech and gives Linux coordinate for where drops point should be. SGT apps is the spectral about all these pairs. They give the coordinates to the plots and fly off with the gal away on the board. The group arrive in the Petra. The twins start fighting over they have would be helping Sam as they fool around. They break part of the well bombly past that they are questioning their the elegance to Sam. Throw them out of their access. Sam notices the hole and the Bambly blast a hole into the tomb of the primes. Sam touches the matrix but it turns to dust. The other thing it's all been for the nothing but the Sam knows there has to be a reason they are all here. He puts all the dust into a old stock. Simmons asks if he thinks he can arrive optimism with the pixel dust and sim leaders to the group to where they are supposed to meet the drops. And EST is on routines to the drop zone, but the Linux is aware the Galway could pose a has two operations. He tricks Gal away into the pretreating of the appearance. He tracks Gal away into the pracheting of his the. He tricks Gal away into the pracheting of the airplane a couple of the 100 mile away from the site. An EST team patches out along with the Optimus's body and the rest of the Autobots. NEST is on road the drop zone, but the Linux is aware Galloway could pose a hazard to the operations. He drags Galloway into a fricating of the airplane a couple of the 100 miles away from the site. The NEST team parachute out along with the Optimism body and the rest of the Autobots. They secure our but see are the Decepticons arriving off in the Decepticons. Sam now has to run approximately 5 miles through a city being heavily searched by the Decepticons led by the migrations. Simmons and Leo notice that the constructions called Devasters has some together near it are primed. They stay behind with the twins in order to take it out. Sam and the Michael go it alone with the Bambley providing them cover for the other detections. At as teens race through the city, Lennox and his team first at the detections migrations order revenge to spring the trap. As the teens race through the city, Lennox and his team first at the detections, migrations, and the order revenge to the springs, the trap and revenge terms, Jody and the run into the city. Sam runs by the notice them before being concocted by the revenge and the overlord. Sam offer them the dust in exchange for his the parents' safety before noting Bambley Cross being a corner. Bambley attack and the fight with him and the fight bought the Deception's revenge jumps on the Bambley, but the Bambley rips his metallic flash from his suspense easily before blowing Overlord head off. With the Sam parents recused, Bambley takes them to the safely behind the lines of the Lennox teams. Sam continue running touch the city with the Mikely migrations aware of what is the happen sees Sam running toward the cover of the Lennox and his the drops. Israel Air Spot arrives to help Lennox team, but the scream shoots them down. Once chopper land near Simmons and the Leo as they deal with the devastors, Matt Flip gets. Israel Air Spot arrives to help Lennox team, but the streams shoots them down. Once the chopper lands near the Smons and the Lee as they deal with the Devastors. Matt Flip gets stuck into Devastator's mouth and then blow his way through Devastator's head. Devastator ignores the twins and he climbs the nearest primate, which is the revealed to be the Sun Harvester, the Cybertronian would use to charge the Allspark and the Destroy Sun. Simmons uses the Redley to call in a favor from a sea captions testing a very external laser cannon. Sam retrains with the Lennox and the Egypts just at the firebombing beings. Abs, Michaela, Sam, and the Lennox run for cover as the bombing being to fall. However, just after they clear the blast, migration arrive and they shoot Sam in the back with his the laser before the military use their tanks to fire on him. Migration fails after killing Sam. Michaela is the distrusted that the Sam is dead and tells him that the she loves him and that he needed to come back. Ron and the Judy arrive with the Bambley and are the horrified to see their son dead. A Mediv chopper arrive and the medic try to revive Sam. However, it's no good. Simmons and the Leo watch from the ground as a larger Ether shoots through the Devastors, destroying it completely. However, the tip of the Paramine was destroyed and reveals part of the sun. However, top. The Decepticons continue their attack on the military with the Scorpion's running point. However, the Jetfire teleports and teases some Decepticons apart with his the battle axe. Rips out part of the Jetfire chest, exposing his spark before Jetfire rips Scorpions in two. Jetfire sees the bodies of the Optimisms and Sam and watches in the interest. Sam wakes up in a twist Ethelward surrounded by the original primes who slavely away the Matrix. They all say that the Matrix was a test to see if Sam had the abilities of a leader. In fighting from the optimism and never giving up the crime, Sam a gift. His life Sam jolts back to life after the Matrix leave and sees the Matrix fully formed on the ground. He tells Michaela he loves her and the hugs is the parents before running to Optimism's body and disturbing the Matrix into the Optimism spark. The Fallen arrives and rips the Matrix out of the Optimism's chest and he teleports to the Paramount. The Fallen activities the Sun Harvesters in the neutralize all the tanks with his the scepters. Optimism is alive, but start to interstellar locks. Jetfire rips out his own spark and gives it the Optimism along with whom his all parts. Jetfire dies and the Optimism gets and the upgrade with which to fight migrations and the fallen. Optimism fire to the Sun Harvester and the fires migrations and the fallen. Migration fire to the beyond too much for the Optimism and gets part of his the face and his arm cut off. The fallen and the Optimism fight one on one, but the Optimism easily every pours him. Optimism rips off the fallen face before stabbing him through the chest and the taking the fallen spark. Defected scream and the migrations make a technical restart. Sam and the Optimism stand on a military ship as they ship back to the Omega. Optimism tells him their untold past until them and that they will face the future together, and after a credit scene shows Sam returning to the college and being welcomed back to his astronomy classes. Professor Clone welcomes him back with a sacrifice. I am glad baby. Instance could grace up with his presence to which Scam restore. Yes, I have been a little. And after credit scene shows Sam returning to the college and being welcomed back to his the astrum clean. Professor Colin welcomed his back with a sacrifice. I am glad baby Estance could grace up with his presence to which Sam restores. Yes, I have been a little busy. Transformers sequel stormed the box office worldwide. Problem at the Paramount Pictures for the moments they feel like a distant memory. Little more than a week after two of the studio topped their production executing were fired, Paramount scored one of the biggest movie opening of all time with the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen review. Regular readers here at the screen's rant are they familiar with my discerns for the first Transformers movie. While many agree with me and others disagree vehemently, both sides have been accepting me to skewer Michaels by the Transformers 2. I did not go in the accepting much, and that may have actually caused me to not judge it quite as harshly as a lot of other reviews are doing. The very thin story here is that of the Sam heading off to college trying to go back to a semblance of a normal life where you don't have a giants talking robots. The very thin story here is that of Sam heading off to the college, trying to go back to a semblance of a normal life where you don't have giants talking robots that run into the coal cars. He will be leaving behind tough biker Jack Michaels and bet they will continue a long distance relationship through the wonders of the internet. Before Sam leaves, the discovers a share of the Allspark is still in his the positions. When he touch it, it has some sort of the effect on him and is sure to still have the power to the animate Michael's objects. Thinking he has it safely secured, Sam heads off to the college where the meets his the roommates, Leo, a guy who runs a website educated, a Robert Stings which is not nearly as popular as his image is to be. It turns out the Autobots have been working with the governments trying to track down the vestige of the Decepticons robot that are still on Earth. It looks like the Decepticons have been the searchings for the somethings, but no one. It turns out the Autobots have been working with the government trying to track down to the vestige of the Decepticons robots that are still on Earth. It looked like the Decepticons have been scratching for some things, but no one, not even the Autobots, know what that might be. Of course, the last things that will happen to Sam is a normal college experience, and he is soon drawn back into the world of the Transformers. He is joined by his the reluctant roommates Leo and of course soon enough by the Michaels and the Bullfinch now acts government agent from the first film, Simon John Treachers. From here the whole point is to stop the detections led by the ancients, robot called the Fallen, for in getting their clown on a device what is of course a danger to all of the humanity, and it take a reality really long times. In Revenge of the Fallen there more of the everything that was in the first film. More robots, more explosions, more the soldiers, more battle sense before Geoline, and inappropriate for kids, humor and the more full laugh. In the end, it does not make this film any better than the first one. It just make it feel too longer. I was surprised. In the end, it does not make this film any better than the first one. It just make it feel longer. I was surprised to learn that this film is only 6 minutes longer than the first one. It feels a lot longer than that. 30 to 40 minutes could have been cut pretty easily. It's a movie about giants, robot battles. Does it need to be 2 hours and the 20 minutes long? Even the scene most people go to see, the battle scenes talk on the far too long. So what was good? I like the scenes involving the military, great stuff. I like that I pulled back the camera on the robot battle so you can actually tell what happened. All thought the shots were too tight once again at the end of. So what was good? I like the scenes involving the military, great stuff. I like that. By pulled back the camera on the robot battle so you can actually tell what happening. All thought the shots were too tight once again at the end of the film. And about the best robot film took place in the forest not awesome, but probably the best things in the film. One the bright side. I actually liked the Kevin Stern as the Sam dad in this one. All thought the mom and even the bag out of me again. Aside from the humor, I will describe below. I thought some of it was actually okay. Even torture was not quite as the anyone. That the CGI was excellent. All thought at this point for a film like one on the being side, I actually liked Kevin Dion as the Sam dad in his one. All thought the mom anyone the heck out of me a giant. Aside from the humor I will describe below, I thought some of it was actually okay. Even Territor was not quite as anyone. The CGI was excellent. All thought at this point for a film like this that should be a given. What was not so good? Well, beyond everything else, a big bad preview of mine about the first film was the jovial humor that I did not think fit with the action. In the sequel, most of the humor happens during the first third of the film, and the thankfully is not as the prevalent letters on. All thought it still pops up from times. What was so good? Well, beyond everything else, a big bad preview of Mints about the first film was the children humor that I did not think fit with the actions. In the sequel, most of the humor happens during the first third of the film, and thankfully is not as a prevalent letters on the all thought it still pops up from time to time. In this film, instead of the distributions jokes, robots being flirting on people, and the acting like the teenage girls hiding in a backyard, we have dog jumpings, twist a robot humping Megan's, fox leg, gigantic robot testings, fretting robots, and a college professor who introductory lecture is the limited exclusively to world is limited exclusively to violate sexual reference. There's also tons of the inappropriate love for the under 10 crowd that is sure to show up. This movie included but not limited to a whole ball sack, beaches, and the shirt. And of course, in addition to the lynching shot of the Megan Fox, there are the suggestive scenes with the actress Isabel Lusa included, and obviously carefully crafted peak of shoot reach couch. I only mention all this because over and over again I have aired in defense of the first film. It's a kids movie and deposit all the action. I found myself kind of bored. I actually almost nodded off at one point. A giant's too long. Oh, and yes, there are a couple of robots in the film. The twins that talks and look like the something out of an old minstrel show. That was the pretty hard to the films. I could possibly see if they acted like the rappers due to the absorbing that would have been seen of the MTV or some things. But the ignorant certain gold toothed robot, we can't read it. It was reminiscent of the two black. It was the reminiscent of the two black crowns from the Destiny Dambo, which was made back in the 1941. Of course, one of the actors providing one of the actors providing the voice is black, so I did be curious too. They have seen on the MTV or some things, but the ignorant Southern skull toothed robot who can't read. It was the reminiscent of the two black crowns from the Destiny Dambo, which was the made back in the 1941. Of course, one of the actors providing the voice is black, so I did be curious to hear this take on all this. So Transformer Revenge of the Fallen is more of the same. If you thought the first one rock, you will probably think the same of this one. If you all thought the first one was Stripe, you will probably think this one is even worse. Me, I had such low expectations going in and already knew what to accept based on the first film. I did not have such a volitions reaction to it. All thought I probably think the same of this one. If you thought the first one was the Tribbles, you will probably think this one is even worse. Me, I had such low expectations going in and already knew what to accept based on the first film. I did not have such a valiant precision to it. All thought I certainly don't remind to care. Watch it again. If you plan on bringing kids, I would lovely. I would highly recommend it you check this out yourself before the brings them. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen and the box office records. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is the smashing records, just not of all them. Complete revenge of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Here's a new reviews about the box office seats. Coming off its the first 5 days in reviews with an estimated gross of $2001.2 million, Michael Bay's hit the sequel Transformers Revenge of the Fallen took its place in the movie history book by the breaking survival major box office record from the Bay and the executive producer Steven Spielberg. The Paramount Pictures reviews joins The Dark Knight as only the second film in the history to gross $200 million or more in the first 5 days. Similarly, the Transformers sequel escaped the previous Wednesday's Sunday records holder Spider-Man 2 by the grossing merely $50 million more in the ticket sales in the USA. The film has taken over the Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix previous little as a biggest Wednesday opener, beating the film by the over $50 million. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen became a 30 largest worldwide opening weekend gross, earning $274 million and beating and the last summer Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Film has become the studio biggest international opener of all time, against beating Industry 4 for the top honor and ranking as the industry fourth biggest open all-time. Robert. The film IMAX run also recorded breaking milestone. The film IMAX ran also long a record-breaking milestone, becoming the biggest 5-day gross for a Wednesday opening title with the $14.4 million in ticket sales, compared to the Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix period record of $7.3 million. Michael Bay has once again proven he and the outstanding filmmaker with a unique ability to the concept with the audience, said Paramount Pictures Corporation's chairman and the CEO Brand Gray. The interior Paramount family is the proud to be the behind him and we look forward to the continue our collaborations with him in the futures. The 2007 release of Transformers opened to the $70.5 million in the USA and eventually went on to earn $390.2 million domestically and more than $700 million worldwide. The sequel has taken in the $387 million worldwide to date, with the final figures for the weekend due to money. Directed and executed produced by the Michael Bay, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen stars Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, John Diermels, Trice Gibson, and the John Turturro. The film screenplay is written by the Aaron Krieger and the Robert Orris and Alex Kurtzman, based on the Hasbro's Transformers action figures. The film is produced by the Don Murphy and the Don DeSantolerons. Transformers action figures. The film is produced by the Dan Murphy and the Tom DeSantolerons, the Mano Ventures and the Lawn Brewery. The executive producers are Steven Spielberg, Babe Rains, Golders and the Make Verdens. Revenge of the Fallen weekend gross fell $3 million short of the Paramount Sunday estimate, which would have put to 5-day opening at the $198.2 million. Though shy of $200 million, it would have still ranked second among the all-time 5-day star. However, Paramount received its gross from the Wednesday and the Thursday upward, and that would push the total past $200 million. Wednesday went from the $60.6 million to $62.6 million and the $62.0 million, and Wednesday and Tuesday upward, and that would push to total past $200 million. Wednesday went from the $60.6 million to $62.0 million, and Tuesday went from the $28.6 million to $29.1 million. Paramount reported that the difference come from the unreported showing from the movie midnight opening on the Wednesday night, which went from the previously reported $60 million at the around 3,000 theaters to the $60.8 million at loss to the 3,300 theaters, as well as the late reports from the instructions IMAX locations and the theaters in the Puerto Rico and the some Caribbean Iceland, which the studio continue in the domestic numbers, with the acquainted from the 1.1 million of the difference. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is a 2009 American science fiction action film directly by the Michael Bay and produced by Steven Spielberg. It is the sequel to the 2007 Transformations and the second installment in the live-action adventure Transformers series. The plot revolves around Sam Twisty, who is the catch in the war between two factions of the alien robots, Autobots and the Decepticons. Sam is havingly hello-entry episode of the Cybertronian stumbles after touching a small remaining shard of the Allspark and is the being hunted by the Decepticons in the order of their long being hunted by the Decepticons under the order of their long-trapped order. The fallen Wu seeks revenge on Earth by the finding and the activity the Star Harvesters, a machine that would provide the Decepticons with anti-energy source, destroying the sun and all life on the Earth in the process. With the deadlines jeopardized by the possible strikes voiced below by the Detectors Guild of the America and the Screen Actor Guild, by managed to finish the productions to time with the help of the privatizations and the script man by his the writers robot Oric, Alex Kurtzman and the series newcomer Aaron Kugers. Smoothing took place from the May to November 2008 with the location in the Egypt, Jordan's Pennsylvania and the California as well as air base in the New Mexico and the air zone. Revenge of the Fallen was released on the 24 June 2009 and was a huge box office success, setting records upon release, grossing a total of the $402 million in the North America and the $836 million worldwide. The film received negative review from the critics for its the screenplay and the runtime, but while praising its the cast and the performance, action sequence, while effects, surround design and the musical score. A third film, Transformers Dark of the Moon, was the release on 29 June 2011 in the 3D. Before the 7000s BC, the destiny of the prime harvested star throughout the galaxy to the create and the replenish energy. The star abstract machine called Star Harvester is the star was not spotting life. They agree that no sun can be the destroy if one of its planets has life. 7000 BC and of the prime violated this law by setting up harvested stars throughout the galaxy to the create and the replenish energies. The only use the stars absorbing machines called star harvesters. If the star was not spotting life, they agree that no sun can be destroyed if one of its the planet has life. In 17 BC, one of the prime violated this lie by setting up the harvester on the earth. The rest of the density named him the Allen. For this crime, they prevented the activity of the harvester by the sacrifice themselves, which hiding the matrix of the leadership they keep which can start the harvester. Now 2 years after the defiant of the migration same victims is packing to go to college, the Autobots have joined the USA military to create a classified team, NEST, the film elite organization from the United Kingdom and the United States is led by the Detems Prime. Now 2 years after the theft of the migration same victim is packing to go to college, the Autobots have joined the USA military to create a classified team, NEST. This elite organization from the United Kingdom and the United States is led by the Optimism Prime, Major William Lennox and the General Marshaver. Its the purpose is to eradicate deceptions anywhere on the global and keep all transformers out of the public eye. At home, Sam finds a shard of the Allspark which upload is the Cybertronian knowledge into Sam minds it also awaken of the kitchen's applications, Sam giving the shirt to his girlfriend Michaela Bams for the safekeeping and leave his the garden's family at home. In the Shangla, the NEST team encounters demolishers and the sidewipes and the optimism killing demolishers and the sideways. The crisis battle destroy building in the city. Demolisher warns optimism of the fallen returns before is the executing reporting to the NST base in the Dice Garcia. The Autobots are NEST base in the Deco Garcia. The Autobots patronized by the USA National Security Aviations yell away for the battle damage in the Shangla. Soundwave the deceptions communications officer hack into the USA military strikes and the overhears both the locations of the migration scores and the Allspark share that the optimism review from the migraine in the first film. After Revenge retries the Allspark share that Revenge goes on to the boss where he meets Mixter's long haul. Green Paramental and the Reef page. We are for constructions as the Transformer and all G into devoted to save their fallen leaders. As they got closer, they see the Macrosan crops, Revenge eject disciple, and the small doctor says that they needs parts. So he asks Miss Maxter and the long haul to kill, scrambled by the Sinks. Kills the later Onia, making the experimental yell out, "Whoa, no." And either Mixter and the long Huel kill poor Scrementals apart while they start muffled screaming and while in the pain then the spell user the shirt is used to restricted migration crops at the Lorrainian abscess. Migrations the Fallen film to the Deceptions films, names where the Fallen introduce him to killing optimism and the capture with the because Sam has knowledge that one lead the Deceptions to the matrix of the leadership. In college Sam meets his the roommates Leo Stice. Sam meets his roommates Leo Stice who once a conspiracy website related to the Transformers exists. Sam eventually starts seeing and describing visions of the Cybertronian symbols and has a mental breakdown at the Michael's shop. Wills tries to steal the shard but the Michaels capture him and they blind his other eye and then leaves to see him in the princess. She arrives just as Sam is attacked by the preventer Elisa. Michael, Sam, and Leo flee, and they eventually kill Elisa but are then captured by the Decepticons grinders, who drop them off in and the abandoned warehouse where the migrations and the stream scream were waiting. The Decepticons brutally integrated Sam to the Optons, the warehouse. Integrate Sam to the Optons, whereabouts of the Matrix. But the only way to find it is to cut his head off to go to his brain. Optimism and the Bambley arrive. Deceptions battle him. Optimism is badly wounded, but they manage to kill Grinders and the wounds. Star scream by the ripping his arm off the before Optimism is killed by the migrants. The humans flee with the Bambley and the Autobot twins, Skids and the mid-flap. The NEST team, shocked by their loss, brings Optimism body to their new Jersey base. Galway arrive with the news that NEST is being decommissioned after the arrival of the Decepticons. Meanwhile, the Decepticons kidnap Sam Paramite in the pairs. The Fallen traps into media singles and the broadcasts a demand that the people of the earth deliver Sam to. Meanwhile, the Decepticons kidnap Sam Paramite in the pairs. The Fallen traps into the media singles and the broadcast a demand that the people of Earth deliver Sam to the Deception or be the annihilated. Leo suggests to Sam that his online reveals Robo Warrior may be able to help. When the terror for him, they discover that the Robo Warrior is actually Agent Simmons from the now Defense Sector. Steven Simmons reveals that the Transformers have been on Earth for the millennia. Further convince while to reveal a group of the Transformers known as the Seekers. They find and the Transformers are SR-71 Blacking, who is the name Jeffers, originally a Deception's Jetfire reveals. Jetfire, originally a Decepticons, Jetfire reveals to have changed side to the Autobots and the teleports the group to the Egypt. Following survival clues, the trio find the tomb of the Prime in the Peters. When Sam touches the Matrix, it's the crumble to dust. But then Sam puts the sand in a pouch. The Decepticons arrive and they battle the Autobots and the Nest, who are the abide by the United States Marine Corps, Egyptians, and the Jordanians military force with the construction vehicles arrive, all showing Decepticons in science turning out to be the constructions they join together into a generation Decepticons named Devasters. Graduation Devastator named Devasters. Mixmaster Transformer sheer teeth and the monster surface. Scavengers transformer into a torch with a vortex giant for the grinding things. Torso with a vortex grinder for the grinding things. Scarp's shovel split into the three fingers. High towards Transformers a shoulder piece, so he held by the Scavenger's left shoulder. Scramtle's shawls become four fingers and the concept high towers overload Longhaul and the skipjack transformer into the waist right leg and the left leg and the concept to the bottoms from the switch. Wo all came together and they attacked the skids, mid-flip and the smons and the uncovers the star harvester from a paramine. Sim is the recused from the dead after having a visions of the non-sadist conversation with the destin of the prime, and when the matrix reforms itself from the sand it is the pouch also restrains optimisms. The fallen then the teleports, carves the matrix and the files to deactivate the star harvester after and the attacked by the art lines and the air spot falls due to the fallen. Telxny's Jetfire offers his part to Optimism before dying of the word inflicted by the Scorpion using a battle armor made the Jetfire remains. Optimism destroy the harvesters, then the heat effect migrations and kills the fallen. Migration who has been severely damaged in the battles follow the star screams. Jetfire reminds Optimism destroy the harvester, then he defected migrations and hide the fallen. Migration who has been severely damaged in the battle follow the star cream suggestion to escapes and the retreats. The Autobot NEST Sam and his the friend return to the USA where Sam continue to the attack college. Weekend box office Transformers Revenge of the Fallen break $2,000 million in its the first 5 days. In case you have been in a coma for the past week, the news has been all about director Michael Bay and his sequel to Transformers. Oh yeah, in a couple of people died. The unexpected loss of the Michael Jacksons may have slowed Transformers Revenge of the Fallen down on Tuesday. Bay will have to blame that one-day drop of the 53% on something. Best Friday saw the film rebound with the $36.7 million that was good enough to sink the biggest non-opening Friday littles and give the suit over at the Paramounts. Some hope that Strong's weekend would propel the film past $200 million in the first 5 days, which $40.6 million client and the estimate weekend total of $112 million. Paramount some hope that a strong weekend would propel the film past $200 million in its the first 5 days, which is exactly how things went down Saturday. $40.6 million client and the estimated weekend total of $112 million that equals the $89.2 million the first film earned, pushed Transformers to over the $201 million as of Sunday, achieving close to the $203.7 million 5-day record of The Dark Knight, more after the jump. All thought it scores against every fiber of my being to the compared Transformers Revenge of the Fallen to The Dark Knight. The box office has spoken. Like it or not, these two films are now linked by their phenomenal 5-day tales. While I covered K-Night last summer, I had the feeling that I was a part of something truly amazing, a once in a lifetime convents of pop culture and the criticized mass media and the plain messes. So too the experience that the same box office frenzy again, thanks to a film full of the racist robbers no less, just feels wrong, but that's me. As for the man behind the bots, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is now easily the biggest film of the Michael Bay career. This the guarantees the Bay will continue to bully and smash his way through theaters for the years to come. Yeah, the first Transformers brought in a total of $155 million in the 7 days. The sequel passed that mark by the day 4. Even with a reported budget of $200 million, this is a giant with the 4Bay, Paramount, and the Hasbro. Only good taste lost in this Tuscarian. Transformer Revenge of the Fallen also had a big week overseas. The film opened on the Wednesday in almost every country around the world. Japan and the UK got to go few days early, Littles and the India had to wait, and it Transformers Revenge of the Fallen also had a big week overseas. The film opened on the Wednesday is almost every country around the world. Japan and the UK got to go a few days early. Italians and the India had to wait, and it would appear that the foreigners are no less immune to the charm of the Mega Fox and the robots. Newmers through the Tuesday gave Transformers 2 and the additionals $80 million in the bragging rights. About all foreign gross are worth about the applicated process of the splitting them up and the collecting them. Shocking enough, there was one studio with the stones enough to go up against Transformers 2 Warner's brother in what probably felt like a shared counters programming movie. Additional $80 million in the bargaining rights about all foreign gross are worth about the completed process of the splitting them up and the collecting them. Shockingly enough, there was one studio with the stones enough to go up against Transformers 2 Warner Brother in what probably felt like a Schwartz counter-programming movie. The studio put the Camerons, Dice, Abigail's Braslin drama My Sister's Keeper out in the 2,606 theaters. Most estimated had the fuel good, fishing at the $40 million. The number for the rest of the top 10 were the predictables lower than to the Robert onslaught, but the gross were not as the lopsided as they could have been, considering that the many screens at the multiplex were giving over entirely to Transformers last week. Winner the proposal saw a 45% drop to the $80.4 million, which was the nowhere near as beast as it could have been. About as bad as it could have been was how bad it was for the year one. The ill review comedy fell a gigantic 70% to the land at the number 6 in only its the second week. Next weekend will tell how for those dark night comparisons can be the take with the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the debut of the Ice Age 3. Next weekend will tell how for those dark night comparisons can be taken with Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the debut of the Ice Age 3 should take a bite out of the film. Paramount's with the Fizzan's 7 years old boy demographic, but the probably not enough to matter at this point. As for the Johnny Depp, Kristen Bella, starry public enemy, I hope Batman will be okay coming in third. Transformer 2 goes beyond the $400 million domestic box office total. With a feat the original Transformers film of 2007 could not, accomplishing domestically, the sequel earned in the 76 days a whopping $400 million domestically. Michael Bay believed with the lack of the heavy promotions by the studio, the film would not earn nearly as much as presents. I have been waiting and waiting for the anticipations of an event movie to make it into the public zetics. You all talk so glowingly about Transformers being the movie of the summer, but unfortunately this has not gotten out public eye still run into so many people even this weekend with these kids that the ask is that movie come out this year. Many may downplay the overall appeal, script acting, special effect true to the sources material or the simply the directions be decided to keep the film, but the apparently that did not stop the mess from flocking to the theaters during the film's run. We already know a sequel is into distant futures and the box office mojo has a tentative date of 7th January 2011. I debut that will be the actual date we know with the Hollywood today. This post was submitted by Transformers 2 goes beyond the $400 million domestic box office. It's time to admit the harsh truth about the Michael Bay Transformers movie 7 years ago after the last gay night. The harsh truth about the Michael Bay Transformers movie is even more apparent following the release of Transformers 1 from the 2007-2017. Bay directed by five Transformers movie, the last of which was the 2017's Transformers The Last Canine. Since The Last Canine debut, the franchise has released three theatrical movies, namely Transformers Rise of the Beasts and the Transformers 1, Travis Knight, Stephens Capri Jor, and the Josh Coley, respectively directed each of these installments. Bay was a producer for the Bambi Rise of the Beasts and Transformers 1, but was not as involved in this movie as he was in the Transformers stories. Bay was a producer for the Bambi Rise of the Beast and the Transformers 1, but was not as involved in this movie as he was in the Transformers stories that he directed. Bambi and the Transformers 1 review, positive review from the broad criticized and the general audience, and were viewed as a refreshing charge of the piece for the franchise in the aftermath of the Bay directions. Deposit the mostly positive reception the franchise has struggled at the box office since Bay stepped away from the director chair. Michael's Bay Transformer movie are still franchise's most successful by far. As per the numbers, all the by directors Transformers movie perform much better at the box office than the Bambi Rise of the Beast and the Transformers 1, Transformers Dark of the Moon, and Transformers Age of the Extinctions earned more than the $1 billion at the worldwide box office while Bay lowest grossing franchise entry The Last Key Night earned more than $600 million. Both Bambi and The Rise of the Beast earned for less than The Last Key Night, with their box office runs ending in the $400 million range. Rise of the Beast $157.341 million domestically box office total and the $61.045 million opening weekend debut are better than the last like K-Night $130.68 domestically box office and the $44.68 million opening weekend. These are the only exception to the bias movie performing better in the every other box office category other than The Last Gay Night, Bay Transformers movie for outperforming the recent installment, whose box office results are a far cry from even Bay's second worst performance Transformers at the $708.272 million worldwide. Transformers 1 is still in the theaters and its box office total are not yet complete, but it is highly unlikely that it will get close to the total for any of the Bay movie. The animated prequel had the franchise's all-time lowest opening weekend debut at the $24.630 million, while Transformers Revenge of the Fallen more than corrected during its the opening weekend. Transformers 1 critical success has unfortunately not translated to its the financial performance even when taking into account its lower production budget. Why Transformers has yet to have a major hit outside of the Bayverse. While critics did not like Bay Transformers movie, the box office figures demonstrated that the plenty of the audience still went to the theaters to see his take on the franchise with his explosive action-packed storyline that the preoccupied spectacles were able to generate mainstream appeal in the franchise previously known for its toy and the animated series become a big budget action blockbuster series, and there was constancy in how he approached all the installments he directed. This worked well for a while, but the notables box office decline between Age of the Extinction and The Last Key Night showed that the audience were already being off the field fetish by the Transformers franchise. Bambley took a different approach with its the 1980s comes of the age story, as did Transformers on being an animated prequel set on the Cybertrons. This new approach worked well for critics and audience who saw them, but were not able to overcome the preview franchise fightings and may have felt too niche compared to a more mainstream approach. Transformers become synonyms with the Michael Bay movie for too long. Directed five Transformers movie over the course of a decade, inventables made by become synonyms with the Transformers brand. This is the partly directed five Transformers movie over the course of a decade. Invitables made by becomes synonyms with the Transformers brand. This is partly due to the franchise enduring significant change between Dark of the Moon and Age of the Extinction, which saw Shia, LaBeouf, Sam, Vicky, and the human characters from the previous three movies replayed by the Mark Wahlberg, Cat Hughes, and new cast. Wahlberg, Cat York, and a new cast of the human characters. Bay was at the origins of this change, leading to the incorrect assumption that he was also at the forefront of the major creativity change that happened after the last gay night. Since the last gay night, Bay has directed the Ryan Reynolds led is the sixth underrated and the Jack Gallanted led the ambulance, but is still primarily associated with the Transformers, regardless of how well received Bambley and Transformers 1 were. They were not given as much of a chance by the audience, partly due to the listening franchise and the fading from Bay Transformers movie. Bambley ratings only a year and a half after the last Knight did not help with this either, as it was too soon after Bay's last movie to ramp the franchise. Since the last Knight by was directed the Ryan Reynolds led Six Underground. Bambley revealing only a year and a half after the last Knight did not help with this either, as it was too soon after Bay's last movie to ramp the franchise. Since the last Knight, Bay has directed the Ryan Reynolds led Six Underground and the Jack Gyllenhaal led Ambulance, but is still primarily associated with the Transformers. Will Transformers ever find the balance between Beavers and a new styles? Bambley and Rise of the Beast providing new and the exciting entry point into the franchise while still returning certain elements of the Bay live action Transformers movie. Transformers 1, on the other hand, was a future's departure from the Brave verse as an animated and distantable prequel. At this point, it may be better for the franchise to continue building on one or more of these new events instead of trying to find another different directions. The CGI Geo and Transformers crossover toasted by Rise of the Beast ending may be the best way to balance the viewers with a new style. It will be a live-action story set on Earth and will likely feature some of the familiar characters, voice actors, and the visual elements from Bay movie, and the main corporate his style driven by the action spectral set pieces. The CGI Geo and Transformers crossover can be the grounded in a new narratives and the directly style, while still feelings reminds that of the pieces that they help make by movie become box office hits. Meanwhile, deposit the previous's box office first. Transformers 1 the sequel should not be the abandoned. Transformers 1 was a strong start to a new series that left the door open for many further stories about Cybertronian and the Autobots, the Decepticons, and the Quantinis. If the franchise continues set up and the abundance new stories every time there is a box office disappointment, there will be little confidence in any features directions. Even in Transformer does some hero find the perfect way to the balance, be worse and a new director styles. Consider some of the most anticipated movies that were coming out. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen could have been on either side of fans waiting to see the Michael Bay directed sequel and those who do not. The original Transformers World 2007 was a global box office success. All thought it received mixed review for the first installment of the Hasbro live-action franchise. I did not mind it when I was a preteen, but as an adult now, I saw why it let down fans of the Twilight and the popular 80s cartoon. There was some hope in the accepting this follow-up with a price tag of 200 million to give audience around the world a darker and the possible ages popcorn flick to be the entertained by. In the reality, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is less than and the immoral over its the predecessors. It's one big mess of a sequel that I will ultimately lead to the franchise losing its way and the making Ronald Emack look like a genuine in the process. What's the story picking up 2 years after the destroying the Allspark Optimism Prime, voiced by the Peter Clone, and the rest of the Autobots form the task force with the human's name NEST, non-biological externals special treat to eliminate the remaining detections around the world. Meanwhile, Sam Witwicky is heading off to the college where he wants to leave everything with the aliens behind, included his the protector Bambley and the focus on his the long distance relationship with his the girlfriend Michael's Pan. Yet things change when he discovers a piece of the Allspark in found in this sweet shirt and starts seeing these strangers symbols which lead to the resurgence of the migration voiced by the Hugo Weaving from the bottoms of the oceans and the finding the ancients detection the fallen voiced by the Tony Todd to setting revenge on the earth to destroy the sun. Regardless of the quality, getting thrilled about the any blockbuster sequel was the standard back then. On the last day of the sixth grade, I saw this opening day with my family that the afternoon in a packed theaters, accepting a great start to my summer vacations. I am not sure how 30-year-old me thought it was enjoyable when it was the popular opposites, but my taste evolved as grew older. Watching it for the first time in its the entry in over a decade was full of the regard to setting through house 21 over the 2 hours of a movie that the purpose was to bigger and the better, only to feel hated as it the continue but as much as the first was not the masterpiece by and the stretch it at the least. Now what it the try to achieve. This sequel is an example of a bay making good on the some decent visual effects but they needs more brains to deliver a captivating story to launch onto unlike a couple of his the earlier works. Unfortunately, without that the dish means to have this plot point have any sort of the adventures making the flow disjoint as the hell, and if you went into the is accepting a plot you would be mistaken sure it's about, and if you want into this the accepting a plot you would be the mistaken sure it about robots that can through into the vehicles. It's instead to be the entertaining except that Revenge of the Fallen failed to be the enjoyable in any manners. Instead the story grows out of its way, confusing in order for what should have been Autobots to overcome the deceptions once more, giving fans what they want and failing to deliver. From what I observe, this was largely due to the 2007 to 2008 writers' class strikes, which then negatively impact similar post-summer sequels like the X-Men Origins, Wolverine and Terminators, celebrating the returning writing team of the Alex Kurtzman Robert Ulrich, who wrote The Great Star Trek month previously, and the Trigger may have had to develop a plot before time ran out. Bay had to expand on the treatment and they continue from there. But the went uncredited Vishta could explain why the dialogues was not Oscar. Rothi did it the genuinely impact how had this turned out. Well it the undeniable lazy in how everything it told. I also scoffed at the idea that the same had the shared of the cube because we saw him the running with it in the previous film. Generally impact how bad it's the turn out. Undeniable lazy in how everything it told. I also scoffed it at the idea that Sam had a share of the cube because we saw him running with it in the previous film and there no way something could have become off. I had no idea that was going on and they had running out at the 30 minutes point and it took about 90 minutes to inform us the film fall apart from me when Sam finds the attractive alias is a deception dressed as a human. Adding to the confusing was the fact that once the left jack included the reason for never exclaiming why the whole timer deceptions called Jetfire, who turned good, is able to the transport everyone from the Egypt to the Washington DC having the same time zone, apparently but does by care. Well, he thinking you are the dumb for the asking silly questions. At this point, to movie in, the emphasis should have the shifted away from the human characters and the on to the robots who receive little growth. You have forgotten about the Optimism Prime and the Bambly. What about that the other I am affair I can tell you? At this point, to movie in the emphasis should have the shifted away from the human characters and to the robots who receive little growth. You have the forgotten about the Optimism Prime and the Bambly. What about the other? I am afraid I can't tell you. Everything become extremely dull when it the process for the unnecessary cruel exposition terms that we will likely forget a minute later. They kept limping on to the point that I feared I was missing vital informations that they mentioned this the matrix of the leadership, which is supposed to be the MG Griffin, but the we cares. Shia LaBeouf is the manly sleeping walking his way through his return as Sam, and this is the first time as they continue screaming is not funny. Megan Fox's performance as the Michael does not always improve. This was the also back when every man believed she was the hottest actress in the Hollywood and I never chimed in. There no chemistry between them, just like in the previous movie, and I will only take another chance at the death until one of them admitted their actual feeling to the other. Ramon Rodriguez Leo's speech, same roommates and the conspiracy theory, Wu tags along with him and the Michael's voice. Shia LaBeouf is the mainly sleeping walking his way through his returner as Sam, and this is the first time his the continuous screaming is not funny. Megan Fox's performance as the Michaels does not always improve. This was also back when every male believed she was the hottest actress in the Hollywood, and I never changed in. There were no chemistry between them, just like in previous movie, and I will only take another chance at the death until one of them admit their actually feeling to the other. Raymond redries Leo's speech, Sam the roommates and the conspiracy theory, Wu takes along with him and the Michaels was the anyone. There no purpose in being there as the unnecessary comic relief when he only complains and he feels more like John Treacher's character Simmons with the Treachers. The moment you see and the actor like him where a striking is one shot, it's sad when this guy worked with the better directors John Deschmels and the tries captions who raps Their roles of the Linux and the apps had little to do before they and the rest of the nest went on their missions in the third act. They even gave Try some of the most obvious lines I have ever heard. People come to see Transformers fighting each other, not become irritated by the Bay instance attempts at the humor to highlight he's the lake of the knowledge. When he action does the Oscar, it is as loud and the meaningful as when the midnight imaginations. The forest fight with the optimism is possible the best moment in the game, but that not saying much. Given I had probably figuring out the deception. Speaking of the optimism, Spytho he dared to kill him off when we know he will come back in the last 10 minutes. And as it's come to a close in the Egyptian deserts, I could not care less because it's the same old robot trying, gunfire, and the explosion that made we went to see this movie finished. Resulting is no stretching just image. The depressed look on my face of not one but two scenes of the watching two dogs humping each other, Sam mom, Julia White, getting her on a weekend pro 9, or just any scenes involving his the parents or the image of the grind Divester having working bells as a pair of the distils is not is the charming, and who can forget the gorging included Autobot twins. Matt Flap and the Skids, voiced by the Reno Wilsons and the Tom Kenny. Even as a teenager, I could tell these two characters were bad any times. Would bro wine or just any scenes involving his parents or the image of the giants devastors having raking balls as a pair of the testless is not it the charming, and who can forget the grooming included Autobot twins Matt Flip and the Skid, voiced by the Reno Wilsons and Tom Kenny. Even as a teenagers, I could tell these two characters were bad any times they spoke as if they were attempting to build this franchise jaw for jaw, being by how resisting story types they made them. Still, the ones except I have always been optimisms about in the music. Steve Jablon's scores deserve much better than the to be associated with this movie, much like how they providing a single for the first Link Spark relief a new song with their track New Divided, another one of my favorite from the band and was received more positively than the movie itself. When it originally came out, I even downloaded it onto my iPod. Green Day, 21 Guns, The Fairy Never Say Never, and the All American Rejected Real World were also included on the soundtrack. Is not it said that I perfected the soundtrack to the actual film favorite from the brand and was the received more positively than the movie itself when it originally came out. I even downloaded it onto my the iPod. Green Day, 21 Guns, The Fairy Never Say Never, and the All American Rejects Real World were also included on the soundtrack. Is not it said that I prefer the soundtrack to the article film criticized for not as the gentle with their rejection to the Revenge of the Fallen as the first as it granted negative review and the certainly holds a 20% on the Rotten Tomatoes, but this is one of those times where a triple movie makes a ton of the money at the box office, becoming the second highest grossing movie of 2009 behind Avatar with the $402.1 million domestically and a worldwide total of the $836.3 million. Too much. For some reason, it's the earned one Oscar nomination for Best Sound Mixing, and while the races are a joke now, they actually goes it right when it was up for the 7 nominations and won. There were screenplay, roast director, 4B, and roast pictures, which was well devastating if you ask me. One positive outcome of how horrible this was that it's the laugh Jamie Jane's career as a movie. When it was up for the Steven nominations and the won were Rose Screenplay, Rose Directed for B, and the Rose Pictures, which was well deristed if you ask me. One positive outcome of how horrible this was that it's the laugh Jeremy has the career as a movie reviewer on the YouTube, and let's just say it did not have kind word for word he watched a couple of years later. Both Bay and the LaBeouf admitted to bring despair with the film overall, with the former calling it the crap and the Bambly it on the writer's strikes sure, while LaBeouf thought be animated too big and they backfire, while the third installment, Dark of the Moon, improve a bit, it's still a bad movie. Overall, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen installed all scenes. Semi took no lesson from its the Lucaster's predecessor, with the director Michael's Bay making a slug of a sequel, irrelevant of its the loud action sequence and mess of a storyline, climating in one of the rose blockbusters in recent memory, never reached the point of being a guilty pleasure when it is simply rebels a decide later. Transformer Revenge of the Fallen. Okay, first off, this is the not a fair review. I did not go into these things in good faith. I never thought there was a possibility I would genuinely like this movie, so did not think I am trying to object here. But I have been getting emails and the comments from Mirth asking me review the sequel to a movie I had, and there are hell of conversations going on in the comments for my review of the first one. And to be the honest, I was strangely excited to see it. It just sounded so intense, and as a fan and the scholar of the summer blockbuster movie, maybe it was the important that I see it just like I saw my the Giants for the sake of the sequels, whatever my excuse is. The same guy who got me into the first one of free hog me up for this one too. So your wishes is the my commented. Obviously you already know. Obviously, you already know what this is, that there are no reasons to try to explain the plot except as a personal challenge I was accept. Here is the my serious attempt to the resembles what is hollow well was going on in the movie I just saw. Okay, in the caveman dies there were already Transformers robots on Earth fighting with the robots' parts. Meanwhile, a few years after Part 1, a giant whale attacks Sangi. Also, I believe a car or the SUV was the helping the giants wheel by the driving around real fast. The Autobot good guy cars now work with the USA military, same soldiers from the Part 1. So they okay, in the caveman days there were already Transformers robot on the earth fighting with the robot Spark. Meanwhile, a few years after part 1, a giant wheel attacks Shanghai. Also, I believe a car or SUV was helping the giants while by driving around real fast. The Autobots good guy cars now work with the USA military, same soldiers from the part 1. So they are there no chases around the wheels and the enemy car and especially murders both of them on the spot. Sam Shia iRobot is about to leave for the presence. His dogs like the two but fake each other and his the parents bikers all time. You know, the kind where you can't tell it must be the funny by the way they say it. Sam takes out the shirt he was the wearing in part 1, but he never washed it so he did not notice the larger chunk of the alien technology still. Must be funny by the way they say it. Sam takes out the shirt he was wearing in part 1, but he never washed it so he did not notice the largely chunk of alien technology still attack, which comes out and it turns his kitchen's applications into the robotic germline. So his the Cambro robot Guardian's family appears and the heroic blows up the house. Sam is afraid of the commitment, so he avoids telling his the Playboy model Michael's girlfriends from the magazine's cover that he lives here. In college, these the roommates Leo runs a robot starting websites. These the characters will stick around for the rest of the movie because it's supposed to be the funny when he gets real scarred or when he gets tested. Also a hot girl keeping hate on the Sam and his girlfriend at home gets attacked by a small robot that she and his girlfriend at home gets attacked by a small robot that she torture and the capture, but the Sam starts seeing symbols and the going nuts in the class, so its girlfriend comes and they see him about to fuck the other girls who turn out to be a robot like in the Terminator 3, so there a car chases etc. So there a car chases etc. At something point and the humor or the more in they meet up with the Johnny tortures who you will remember got paced on by a robot in the first one, so in the compression his part there seems every defined. I forget to mention that the bad guys resorted migrations dead leaders from the part 1, but I am not sure why since he knows just and asking Flanky for the new villain characters the fallen voice by the Tony Todd. Hopefully they paid him enough that he can take a break from the sickening Candian's poster ad. Taking back to 2009 and what we consider some of the most anticipated movies that were coming out, Transformer Revenge of the Fallen could have been on another side of fans waiting to see the Michael Bay directed sequel, and those who did not, the original Transformers from 2007 was a global box office success. All thought it received mixed review for the first installment of the Hasbro live action franchise. I did not mind it when I was preteen, but as an adult now, I saw what it let down fans of the toy line and the popular 80s cartoon. There was some hope in the accepting this follow-up with a price tag of 200 million to the give audience around the world a darker and the possible Edgar popcorn flick to be the entertained by. In reality, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is less than an improvement over its the successor. It's one big mess of a sequel that I will ultimately lead to the franchise losing its way and the making Ronald Amar look like a genius in the process. But the story picking up 2 years after destroying the Allspark Optimism Prime. What's the story picking up 2 years after destroying the Allspark Optimus Prime, voiced by the Peter Clone, and the rest of the Autobots from the task force with the human's name NEST non-biological external special treat to the eliminate the remains detections around the world. Meanwhile, Sam Shia LaBeouf is the heading off to the college where he wants to leave everything with the aliens. With the aliens behind, included his the protector Bambley, and focus on his long distance relationship with his girlfriend Michaela Benz, Megan Fox. Yet things change when he discovers a piece of the Allspark found in the sweatshirt and starts seeing the struggle symbols, which leads to the resurrections of the Megan foiled by the Hyogo waving from the bottom of the oceans and the finding the ancients detection the fallen, voiced by Tony Todd to setting revenge on the earth to destroy the sun. Regardless of the quality, getting thrilling about any blockbuster sequel was the standard. Back then, on the last day of the sixth grade, I saw this the opening day with my family that the afternoon in a packed theaters. Accepting a great start to my summer vacations, I'm not sure how 30 years old me thought it was the enjoyable when it was the popular opposites. But my taste evolved. I saw grew older watching it for the first time in hit entry in over a decade was fully off the regard to settings through those 21 to over 2 hours of a movie that the purpose was to be the bigger and the better only to feel hated as it continued. But as much as the first was not a masterpiece by any stretch, it at least know what it tried to achieve. That sequel is an example of P making good on the some decent visual effect but needs some brains to deliver a captivating story to launch Otto, unlike a couple of his the earlier works. Unfortunately, without that, dish meant to have these plot points have any sort of the adventures, making the flow disjoint as the hell. And if you weren't onto his accepting a plot, you would be the mistaken sure it abouts. And if you want into this accepting upload, you would be mistaken sure it's about robots that can run into the vehicles. It indeed to be the entertaining, except that Revenge of the Fallen failed to be the enjoyable in any manners. Instead, the story goes out of its way to be the incredibles confusing in order for what should have been Autobots to overcome the deceptions, once more giving fans what they want and failing to deliver. From what I observe, this was largely due to the 2007-2008 writers' Guild strike, which then negatively impacted similar poor summer sequels like X-Men, Origins, Wolverines, and the Terminator's relations and the returning writing team of the Alex Kurtzman, Roberts Orkey, who wrote the great Star Trek month previously, and the Aaron Kurger may have had to develop a plot before time ran out. Bay had to accept on the terminate and the continue from there, but he won't uncredited which the could explain why the dialogues was not Oscar worthy. Did it the generally impact how had this turned out well? It is the unbelievable lazy in how everything is told. I also scoffed at the idea that the same had a share of the cube because we saw him running within the previous film and generally impact how had this turned out. Well, it's the uninviable lazy in how everything is told. I also scoffed at the idea that Sam had a share of the cube because we saw him running with it in the previous film and there no way something could have come off. I had no idea what was going on and had run out at the 30-minute point and it took about 90 minutes to inform us. The film falls apart from me when we saw found the attractive aliens. Isabel Lusa is a deception dressed as a human, adding to the confusing voice effect that runs the left check, included the reasons for the never explained why the all-timer deceptions called Jetfire Voitron Good is able to transport everyone from the Egypt to Washington DC having the same time zone. Apparently, but does Spike care? Well, he thinks you are dumb for the asking silly questions. At this point, two movies in, the emphasis should have shifted away from the human characters and the onto the robots who receive little growth. You have to forgotten about the Optimism Prime and the Bambley. What about the others? I am afraid I can tell you. At this point, two movies in the emphasis should have shifted away from the human characters and onto the robots who receive little growth. You have forgotten about Optimism Prime and Bambley. What about the other? I am afraid I cannot tell you. Everything becomes the extremely dull when it the pressures for the unnecessary crucial expositions them that we will likely forget a minute later. They kept peeling onto the point that I feared I was missing vital informations. They mentioned this matrix of the leadership which is the supposed to be the MG girlfriend but we cares. Shia LaBeouf is mainly sleeping walking his way through his returning as Sam. And this is the first time is continuous screaming is not funny. Megan Fox performance. Megan Fox's performance as the Michael does not always improve. This was the also back when every male believed she was the hottest actress in the Hollywood. And I never climb in. There no chemistry between them just like in the previous movie. And I will only take another chance at the death until one of them admit their actual feeling to the others. Roman road cries, Leo's preach, Sam roommates and the conspiracy theories who tags along with him and the Michael's was. She LaBeouf is the manly sleeping walking his way through his return as Sam, and this is the first time he's the continuous screaming is not funny. Megan Fox performance as the Michael does not always improve. This was also back when the every male believed she was the hottest actor in the Hollywood, and I never climbed it. There's no chemistry between them, just like in the previous movie, and I will only take another chance at that until one of them admit their actual feeling to others. Roman road cries, Leo spies, Sam roommates, and the conspiracy theorist who takes along with him, and the Michaels was the anyone. There's no purpose in being there as the unnecessary comic relief when he only complains and feels movie-like. John Treacher character Simmons with the Treacher the moment you see an actor like him where a G rating starring on shoot is used when this guy worked with the better directors John Duhamel and the Trees Capson who replaced their roles of the Linux and the apps had little to do before they and the rest of the ants went over their mission in the third act. They even gave Trees some of the most obvious lines I have ever heard. People come to see Transformers fight each other, not become irritated by Bay Increasing's attempts at the humor, highlighting his the lack of knowledge. When the action does Oscar, it is as loud and meaningful as one might imagine. The forest fight with the optimism is possible the best moment in the game, but that not saying much, given I had trouble figuring out the deceptions. Speaking of the optimism, Bay thought he dared to kill him of one we know he will come back in the last 10 minutes. And as it comes to be a clause in the Egyptian deserts, I could not care less because it's the same old robots dying, gunfire and the explosive that made we want to let this movie finish, resulting in no stacks, just the imagine the depressed look on my face of not one, but two scenes of watching two dogs humping each other, Sam moms, Julia White getting high on a weekend Browns, or just any scenes involving his parents on the image of the giants, devastors hacking wrecking balls as a pair of the trickles is not it the charming, and who can forget the gaunt included Autobots twins, Matt Flea and the Skid, voiced by the Ron Wilsons and Tom Kenny. Even as a teenager, I would tell these two characters were had any times were Browine or just any scene involving his parents or the image of the giants, Devastors having wrecking balls as a pair of the trickster is not just the charming and who can forget the grown included Autobot twins, Mudflap and the Skids voiced by the Reno Wilsons and Tom Kenny. Even as a teenage, I could tell these two characters were bad any times. They spoke as if they were attempting to build these the franchises Jar Jar Binks by how resisted story types they made them. Still the one except I have always been optimism about in the music. Steve Jablonski's score deserves much better than to be associated with this movie, much like how they providing a single for the first linking part, release a new song with their track New Dividing another one of the favorite from the band and was received more positively than the movie itself. When it originally came out, I even downloaded it onto my iPod. Green Day, 21 Guns, The Fairy Never Say Never, and the All American Rejects Real World were also included on the soundtrack. Is not it sad that I prefer the soundtrack to the actual film? Favorite from the brand, I was received more possibility than the movie itself. When it originally came out, I even downloaded it onto my iPod. Green Day, 21 Guns, The Fairy Never Say Never, and the All American Rejects Real World were also included on the soundtrack. Is not it sad that I prefer the soundtrack to the actual film? Criticized for not the gentle with their reactions to Revenge of the Fallen. As it's the granted negative review and the currently holds a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. But this is one of those times where a treble movie makes a ton of money at the box office, becoming the second highest grossing movie of 2009, behind Avatar with this $402.1 million domestically and the worldwide total of the $836.3 million. Too much. For some reason, it earned one Oscars nomination for the best sound mixing, and while the Razzies are a joke now, they actually got it right when it was up for the Seven Mountains and won there. Was screenplay was directed for Bay and the Ross Pictures, which was well deserved if you ask me. One positive outcome of how horrible this was, it launched Jeremy Jenny career as a movie when it was up for the seven nominations and won there. Ross screenplay, Ross directors for Bay and Ross Pictures, which was well deserved if you ask me. One positive outcome of how horrible this was that it launched Jeremy Jan's career as a movie review on YouTube. And let's just say he did not have kind word for what he watched. A couple of years later, both Bay and the LaBeouf adapted to being displayed to being displaced with the film overall, with the former calling it crap and the bambling it on the right strike shore, while LaBeouf though be a made too big and the backfire while the third installment, Dark of the Moon, improved a bit. It's still a bad movie. Overall, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen instead all seen someone it took no lessons from its the Lancaster's predecessor with the director Michael Bay making a slug of a sequel irrelevant for its the loud action sequence and mess of a storyline. Culminations is one of the Ross blockbuster in recent memory, never reached the point of being a guilty pleasure when it's the simply rebel decide later. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Okay, first off, this is the not a fair review. I did not go into this in the good faith. I never thought there was a possibility I would genuinely like this movie, so did not think I am trying to the object there, but I have been getting emails and the comments for the months asking me sequel to a movie I had there a hell. I hated there a hell of conversations going on in the comments for my review of the first one, and to do honest, I was strangely excited to see it. It just sounded so intense, and as a fan and the scholar of the summer blockbuster movie, maybe it was the improvement that I see it just like I saw Mighty Giant for the sake of the sludgely whatever my excuse is, the same guy who got me into the first one or free hogged me up for this on too. So your wishes is my comment. Obviously you already know what this is. There are no reasons to try to explain the plot except as a personal challenge. I accept. Here is my serious attempt to resemble what in Hollow Hell was going on the movie I just saw. Okay, in the cameraman days, there were already Transformers robots on the Earth fighting with the robot spars. Meanwhile, a few years after Part 1, a giant wild attract singles also a belief a car or SUV was the helping the giants while by driving around real fast. The Autobots, good guy cars, now work with the USA military, same soldiers from the Part 1. So they in the caveman days, there were already Transformers robots on the Earth fighting with the robot Spark. Meanwhile, a few years after Part 1, a giant whale attacks Shanghai. Also, I believe a car or the SUV was helping the giant whale by driving around real fast. The Autobot good guy cars now work with the USA military, same soldiers from the Part 1, so they are there too. The chases around the wheel and the enemy car and these figures murder both of them on the spot. Shia LaBeouf, iRobot, is about to leave for the prisons. His dogs like a to buffet each other and he's the parent spiker all the time. You know the kind where you can tell it must be the funny by the way they say it. Sim takes out the shirt we saw wearing is Part 1 but he never washed it to so he did not notice the largely chunk of alien technology still. Must be funny by the way they say. Saw takes out the shirt he was wearing in Part 1 but he never washed it so he did not notice the larger chunk of alien technology still attack which comes out and turns his the kitchen's applications into the robotic gentleman. So his the Cameron Robert Guardian's family appears and the heroic blows up The house is a fear of the company, so he avoided telling his the Playboy model machine's girlfriends Megan Fox from the magazine's covers that he loves her in colleges. He's the roommates. Leo runs a robot chatting's website. This character will stuck around for the rest of the movie because it's supposed to be the funny when he gets real scarred or when he gets date. Also a hot girl keep hitting on Sam and his the girlfriend at house get attacked by a small robot that she and his girlfriend at home gets attacked by a small robot that she tortures and the capture but Sam starts seeing symbols and the going nuts in class so his girlfriend comes and they see him about to fuck the other girl who turns out to be a robot like in the Terminator 3 so there are car chases etc. At some point an hour or more in they were meet up with the John Rogers who you will remember goes passed on by a robot in the first one so in the compress this part here seems very defined. I forget to mention that the bad guys resounded migraines, that leader from the part 1, but I am not sure why. But I am not sure why since he now just an asking flunk for the new villain. Asking Flunky for the new villain characters, the fallen voiced by the Tony Todd. Hopefully they paid him enough that he can take a break from the singing Canadian poster ad